So today we're going to talk about getting your offers accepted and the things that you can do in order to present your offer in a better light to the seller and to the agent. Because you want to convince the agent first, because you've got to get them to convince the seller, right? So the very first thing we're going to do is, and just follow along with me on these. I'm not going to read through it all, but it's great information for you to take home and read through it afterwards today, if you will. But making offers and getting them accepted is often as much about art as it is math. No one tip is applicable to every situation. But to paraphrase an analogy, the more tools you have in your tool shed, the more projects you can build. So consider each of these 16 tips as tools in your toolbox on your shed. So number one is work fast. As they say, the early bird gets the worm. So if you know that we're in a hot market, because we're in a hot market, the whole Bay Area is in a hot market. So houses are going like in the first week, the first day that they're on the market, they're getting offers and things like that. So you got to act fast. So don't take if your client wants to write an offer, don't wait until tomorrow to write the offer. Write the offer today or tonight. Get them to digitally sign it on SkySlope or however you do that, DocuSign, and then get that over to the agent, even if it's midnight. So that when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they see in their email is going to be your offer. This says, as they say, the early bird gets the worm. Sometimes the secret to getting a yes is as simple as being the first offer on the property. Have you ever found that to be true?
Yeah.
I have found that being the first one got me a couple of offers, but it had to be a good offer. You know, even if you're the first offer and you're a horrible offer, you're not going to get accepted. So run the numbers, make the offer, and don't let fear slow you down. So number one is work fast. Number two is offer your best up front. I have a buyer right now. We've been working for a year. He wants a house in Crockett. He only wants Crockett, and he wants a yard big enough to house dogs. And so we've been looking for a year. We've made about 5 offers in this year, but every single time he underbids. And every single time I say, you're not going to get the house. And so at least make it at the offer price and the asking price if you can't go over. But he always goes under. And so we never get it. And he keeps asking me, why am I not getting these houses in Crockett? Well, it's because you're offering under asking. And then he's got contingencies and all these different things. So put your best foot up front. Put your best offer up front. And if you can go over asking in this market, go over asking a percentage that works for you and works for your budget. But offer up front, your best up front. Number 3, submit a letter with your offer. We all know about that, right? Do you write offers for your letters for your offers for your clients? Do you help them write offers?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
It just depends.
Do it every time and see what happens. You know, even if it's a small mobile home like the one that I've got for sale in Terra Hills, it might touch their heart to accept a lower offer or a cash offer than to accept maybe an offer a little bit, $1,000 more because the heartstrings were pulled. Does that make sense? So this tells you a lot about how to write the letter. It's got samples of how to write letters on it as well. It doesn't have to be anything formal, just a quick message letting the seller know who the client is and what they plan to do with the house. You know, I love the backyard. I can't wait to see my kids climbing the trees. That big tree, I can imagine your kids climbing it 20 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? All right. Number 4 is discover the true motivation of the seller. Discover the seller's motivation. So always try to determine what the true motivation of the seller is. Are they looking for the absolute highest price, or are they in need of a fast closing? So how do you do that? How do you find out the seller if you're a buyer's agent working for the buyers?
Talk to the seller's agent?
Talk to the seller's agent, exactly. So you talk to them and find out what the motivation is, or at least try to get as much as you can from them. And then if they're wanting a fast close, maybe you could come down a little bit in your price as long as it's still market value and do a really quick close, and they would take that. Or if they're looking for the highest price and they don't care when it closes, then you got to go in at a higher price. And if they want, and find out if they want a rent back or anything like that, and then make that
I have a question.
Attributable to them.
About a month ago in our meeting, Orhan, I mentioned that when you're writing an offer, don't put nothing less than 30-day close, because, it's anything less than 30 days if you're getting a loan is, untrue.
That's true. That is true. So right now, I've been putting 35 days on mine because my lenders told me it's taking about 35 days now because of those extra, what's it called, trip? What was it called?
Trip.
Trip. So I've been putting 35 on mine unless it's cash. Any other questions about that?
So 35 days is considered a short close now?
Lynette, what do you think?
Well, I didn't follow the rule, okay, and my offer that was accepted with multiple offers night before last. I put 22 days because my lender had already told me that that's what he could perform at because my buyers had been pre-approved through his program.
Uh-huh.
So, and I wanted to make sure timing was everything with this particular seller because it was back on the market and they had already found the replacement property.
I see. Well, that's an exception to the rule,
Right,
so to speak.
right.
And if you know your lender really well and you're in great communication like she is with her lender,
He called them.
then you, if he's already done the approval process, he's already got it to underwriting or something like that, then you could make the day shorter to entice the seller to accept your offer. But you got to be really good and sure and in connection with your lender. Does that make sense?
And I agree with what she said and what you're saying, because the one that I'm working on now, I put 25 days because it's already approved, the money is there, all they need to do is sign the paperwork and
Exactly.
remove the funds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
I think in the general scope, the 35-day is, and that's based upon people who are working with lenders they don't have a relationship or a
Exactly.
buyer they're working with. If a buyer comes to you and they say they want to use this lender that they've been working with, if I don't have a relationship with that lender, I don't really know if I can do 21 or 22 days. So 30, 35 might make sense, but then it might jeopardize not getting your contract accepted because they're looking at contingency inspections, the time frame, and closing.
It's true.
And then they want to rent back. They wanted to close sooner, and they asked me to rent back, and we said, fine.
I would always try to cut the timeframes down
Yeah.
as much
Yeah.
as you can.
Yeah, good idea.
You do have to check with the lenders though. Some lenders, depending on what they're doing,
Right.
it may be a 35-day deal and you just can't, So I would go maybe 30 days. You think it's only 35.
It's all about being
I
in
would
communication
try-
with your lender.
Yeah. But try to cut it down if you can, because most listing agents, from my experience, if you start going over the 25 days or 30 days, they're not going to kick you out of contract.
Right,
You know,
right. And
they're-
if you're
they'll usually
building
give you
rapport
an
with them and
extension.
talking with them, they're like, we got a hiccup. Can we have an extra 5 days? Or let
And
me
that's
talk
when
to
you
my
ask for an
seller.
extension.
Yeah,
But you wait until that point because they're not going to kick you out at that point. They're going to want to go ahead and close it.
Yeah, once you're 25 days down the line.
All right, so any other questions about that part? All right, go to number 6 because I don't feel number 5 relates to me. And so I'm skipping number 5. Y'all can read it and see if it relates to you. But I wouldn't do that myself. Number 6, all cash helps. If you can afford to offer all cash on a property, this can help you get an offer accepted. Sellers love cash buyers because they know the money is there. And the risk that the buyer will not be able to follow through drops significantly. So if you got a cash buyer, awesome. How many cash buyers are out there these days?
quite a few, but they end up doing hard money loans in the end.
In the end, they do. But those usually come through very quickly though, and they're done in the same time frame as the cash, which is fine. So number 7 is remove the financing contingency. Now remember, you got to be very, 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 very careful with this. So I'm going to read a little bit about what it says. Even if you can't afford to offer all cash, you can always remove the financing contingency from the offer. Of course, remember, if you remove the financing contingency and then you can't get a loan for the property, you can lose the earnest money deposit. So you got to be very, very careful, or your deposit is such that you don't care if you lose it at that point, which I don't think anybody doesn't care if they lose their earnest money deposit. So at any rate, but removing financing contingency, and I've had agents call me and say, we'll accept your offer if you remove the financing contingency. And I have never done it. So I'm very scared to do that. Unless I've talked to the lender, everything is rock solid. The underwriting has been done, the approvals have been done, and usually that's never done in the
No.
time frame of when you're submitting an offer.
Right.
So unless they've been working with that lender and maybe had another property that they were working with and got approved for that, and now we're just gonna switch some properties. But be very careful with that. But it does help the seller accept your offer more easily. Number 8, waive the inspection contingency. Most sellers know that their property needs a lot of work. Therefore, sellers get nervous when people want to do an inspection of the property. They fear that they will accept an offer and then a week later the buyer will back out because they discovered something was wrong. That happens all the time. That's what an inspection contingency is for, so that people can back out. I came by, I get to see you behind me. How are you? Good to see you. So at any rate, inspection contingency. It will dramatically increase the chances of getting your offer accepted, but it can dramatically screw the deal up if your clients find something drastically wrong with the house and then want to go back after they remove the inspection contingency and say, uh-oh, wait a minute. So there could be problems there and they could lose their deposit as well. Any thoughts on that?
There's little techniques to get around some of the time frames. If you have
Speak up a
If
little
you
bit.
have a loan and an appraisal contingency that goes out so far, maybe 15 days, you can use those to kind of as your way out.
Like, give me an
That's a
example.
little risky.
Give me an example.
Well, if you remove your inspection contingency, you don't have any inspections at all. You still have your appraisal and your loan
Oh, okay.
contingency. So
You're still covered if you need to.
You have to have a good relationship with your lender, though. If you need to back out for some reason, you reach out to your lender and say, hey, we can't do this, and this, it's a little questionable, but,
Understood.
it's something you can't do. One thing I was going to say to that, and that was one of the things I was going to mention today, sometimes the house is on the market for 2 weeks before, they accept offers. So
Right.
if you can get a contractor in there, you can get an inspector in there. Maybe you don't want to pay an inspector $500 to get in there, but a lot of people know contractors. They have a contractor in the family. So if you can get a contractor in there early, take a look at the house, ask the listing agent, hey, can I get in on Wednesday at this time? Let me get in with the lockbox. Have your contractor go through everything. You can tell the listing agent, hey, we waived our inspections because we already did our inspection.
And make a preemptive offer or what?
Yeah.
Or wait to the date of the offer and say that you've already seen it and waive the inspection.
Right.
Okay, that's what you're saying. That's a possibility too, as well. Hi, Takato. How are you? Good to see you. There's 2 chairs back there if you want to go back there, but you're fine right here too. Whatever you want to do. Will y'all let them have those 2 chairs there?
Sure.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're all close today.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Usually have an inspection contingency because I can usually get credits after the reports.
Say that again. So you always put the inspection contingency so you can get credit later if something's wrong? Okay, understood. So there's different ways. There's agents that feel that it's not a risk to do it, and there's agents and clients that feel that it would be a risk to do that. So these are just suggestions.
Unless they tell me upfront, as if they will give it.
Right. You're still gonna wanna do your inspections though.
Or do you do inspection even though sometimes they already have all the reports out?
It depends on the buyer.
Don't need-
It depends on the buyer if they wanna do it. Some buyers feel like that inspections that were given from the seller could be jaded because it was a family member that did the inspection or something like that. But for the most part, they have to be legal documents as well, so professional documents rather. So I would trust an inspection from a reputable company, but it depends on the buyer. Lynette, do your buyers go get an inspection even though one was provided for them?
Right now, in my current situation is we looked at the inspection report that was on file last night. They signed it, they received it, but they're reviewing it. I have a 7-day inspection contingency.
Okay,
And the seller was already calling me on my drive to work today
okay.
to ask me, did they like the house?
Oh,
Were they gonna go through with it? I said, well, talk with your agent, they loved it. And, because I don't wanna talk with this client, but she's calling me, she goes, we wanna lock our loan on our new home today, so we wanted to make sure, because it was a back on the market listing that had already fallen out. So I try and always shorten an inspection because, you know, and the other thing that I do, which is kind of unique, is I buy a home warranty for my clients.
I always do that too.
So I tell them
Suggest
it's peace of mind for me and it's peace of mind for you, because if something happens, it's usually in the first year, you
And
know.
guys, it's like $300. They can take it out of your check at escrow. You can call Home Guard, and it gives peace of mind to the buyer and even as a seller's agent, sometimes I buy it
Mhm.
for the buyer just to be sure that I have peace of mind as well. So
Don't miss
anyway,
the air conditioning though, because it's a higher price.
that's the higher price. The air conditioner
It
is
is
higher
higher.
price.
They just had air conditioning installed, so.
But in our area, most places don't have air conditioning.
Right.
Anyway. All right, so number 9, getting back to the forms, close faster. So we already sort of talked about that with the days on that you put on your offer. So Amar talked about shortening those days. If you can shorten the days and get everything done, hallelujah, do that, because a shorter time frame. But remember this, you still got to find out what the seller's motivation was from the other agent, because it may be that they actually don't want a shorter close. They want a 30 or a 40 or a 60-day close because of time frame for them to move to somewhere else. So you got to know what the motivation is from the seller first. I wouldn't just do that. I would ask the agent, are they looking for a quick close? Are they needing a rent back? Or what's the time frame for them? I would always ask that question. Okay. Number 11 is offer more earnest money. So instead of putting 1% to 3% down, maybe put 5% down up front to show that you're substantially interested in this house. It just gives it more weight to the offer. Putting $1,000 down, some people think that you don't have the money. You're not going to be able to come up with the money at the end for the remaining that's left after the loan. So putting more earnest money down, it has a psychological effect and an emotional effect for the seller when they're looking at it. So if they can do that, put more money down. Make sure you have your contingencies in place. All right? Please make sure you have your contingencies in place. Number 12, provide your pre-approval letter with the offer. You should never be submitting an offer that does not have a pre-approval letter. Even though it states on the contract that they have, 3 days?
Yeah.
After acceptance to provide proof of funds and proof that you get a loan and all of that. That's all great. But if you don't have a pre-approval letter, most agents are going to gloss over yours and set yours aside, because there's going to be other people with pre-approval letters. So you're going to want a pre-approval letter. It's very, very, very important. Lynette?
Amen.
Yes.
Amen? Okay.
Amen. And earnest money
And earnest
deposit.
money deposit.
And earnest money deposit. I think we
Or, yeah.
Well, and
Bank
you know,
statement.
We talked about
I
that.
don't necessarily agree with that, because I look at the total package as being a listing agent and a buyer's agent. Earnest money deposit doesn't really matter to me, but it's how that contract is structured. And if they come over with the pre-approval letter on a CalHAPA loan, or like one of the ones I'm doing where the EMD is only minus 4,490. It's 1% of the 3%, but I know that loan program, so I understand it. The seller's agent did not. So my lender presented it to the seller's agent and explained the whole program, and he was excited about it.
See?
So
But
I don't know
number-
what the other offer said, but you know, just the way that this was structured, it was written so clear. And my clients quite frankly, didn't have an extra 3% to put down.
Exactly. A couple of things about what she said. Not everyone is going to like all of these ideas, right? So for one, I don't want to risk my client's money by putting a whole bunch more in than what's required. So I usually just do what's required. Unless it's a really weird situation, it's going to be huge multiple offers and we know it, and I know that my client is solid, then we can do that. So it's just a case-by-case basis. But at any rate, number 13, put an escalation clause in. I had never thought about this, but actually when I read this, I thought, oh my God, what an interesting idea. So listen to this. An escalation clause can be included in an offer and is used when a property might have multiple bidders. It essentially says, if someone else bids higher than me, this offer will automatically increase blank dollars above or higher than any other offer that comes in up to a certain amount of money. So basically, it says that if any offers come in above 510,000, I will pay 500,000. I will pay $500 over any higher offer that comes in up to, say, 525. So if they're offering, if the asking price is 500 and I offer 510, I'm willing to pay 520. I'm willing to go all the way up to 520. And so I'll pay $500 over anybody else's offer up to 520. Have you ever received an offer like that? Have you ever received an offer? I have never received an offer with
And
an
you know what,
escalation
I
clause.
think years ago we were doing that.
LA used to do it a lot.
Yeah, but, the thing is how do you have proof? Are you gonna ask that listing agent to
Exactly.
certify a copy of that other offer to me?
Exactly. And they're
Yes,
not
you
gonna
don't-
wanna do that.
You don't know.
And they probably won't do that.
Right.
But just another idea.
Sure.
But this was actually, it even says here, let me tell you what the danger is, okay? It says the danger of an escalation clause, of course, is that it tells the seller exactly how high you will go,
Right?
right? So they might even counter you higher than that. They could. Therefore, only use an escalation clause if you know there will be multiple offers, and never make your maximum price higher than what you should pay in market value.
Unless
So-
you put an exception in there that says that they'll pay the difference of
Between
5 to
the,
10,000 over appraisal. I mean, there's so many
Basically, they're gonna look at your
variables.
highest offer, and they're gonna go, hey, somebody was $500.
Exactly. So they're gonna use it against you, basically.
Yeah.
But it is an idea, and it does work, and it seems to be working down in LA a lot. I don't know why LA, what's happening there, but at any rate. Number 14, offer to clean out the property. I have done this personally many times, to the point to where I'm too old to do it anymore, and my knees won't handle it anymore. But houses can accumulate a lot of stuff over time, and removing this stuff can be incredibly overwhelming for the seller. So even if you're the buyers, now I've always helped my sellers get their house cleaned up and ready, but I've never taken a buyer to a house and said, oh, we'll still help you clean up your house or clean it out. I've never done that. But I think it's a great idea if that's going to help you. You could even say to them, I noticed that there's a lot of junk, debris in the yard and things like that that needs to be removed before we move into the house, or before my clients move into the house. My clients, and this is another way you can structure the offer, my clients are going to submit 2 offers to you. One offer is their offer, the price that they think is good for the house, and they want all this stuff removed from the yard, blah, 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 or even from the house, things that need to be removed. Or, here's my second offer from my clients with a little bit lower price, and you can leave everything, and we'll clean it up after y'all have moved out. That would help a lot of sellers. There's a lot of sellers at the last minute that are hoarders, that's true too. But there's a lot of sellers that wait to the last minute to start packing and all those different things. And then at the last minute, they're trying to rush to get things done. The agent's over there trying to help them get out. And once they get out, there's still a lot of debris and stuff all over the house that somebody's got to go back and fix. And it certainly doesn't want to be the buyer's agent. So the buyer's agent's usually calling the listing agent saying, get this house cleaned out. You know, I don't care what you got to do. So write an offer. Here's my offer for $500,000. Leave everything you want to leave in your house. Here's my offer for $10,000, and you've got to clean everything up and have it out by the time of escrow closes. I never thought about that, but I actually think it's a good strategy. So out of all of those, that's my favorite one that I like. Number 15 is pay the seller's closing costs. So even though the county and the city state who should pay for closing costs for city taxes, county taxes, transfer, and all of that, go ahead and offer to pay for the sellers. Make sure you know what that cost is going to be for your buyer. You know, get a tax person to tell you what those costs are going to be, or call title, or and get them to do the net sheet that shows all of that.
People tell me he does a great job on cleaning the carpet.
So be very careful with that. Number 16, the final one says, finally remember this, just because your offer got turned down doesn't mean you can't wait a day, turn around and make another offer that you think might get more accepted to them.
I'm lying.
All right? So at any rate, that was 16 ideas of how help you get your buyers accepted.
And call him too, because he does a great job. You get to move out. He does awesome. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay, thank you so much.
My dad,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
big broke.
Bam! Okay, it's always fun and interesting here.
My dad was a real estate broker.
That's how you get your offer accepted.
Okay, so did you find one thing in the 16 things here that maybe you could use to try to help your offer get accepted?
Yes.
Those are very good tips.
There were some good tips there.
Actually, I just thought about it. I have a client that's buying a property in Oroville, and I've actually referred it to another agent. Because Oroville is way up
He
there.
goes up there.
I should
I
have
did.
I should have done it, but it looks like they're giving me a contract. But they're offering to do that cleanup. So I just thought about it. They're
Yeah.
offering. I think they're gonna pull back so much
Some
money.
funds.
The yard has tractors, and trailers.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You know, but
I
that's
can
one of the
imagine
things
all
that
of
they
them. I can
decided to offer.
visualize it.
So, yeah.
So the next sheet, I'm not going to read it as much as I did this one, but I want to go over it briefly with you because what I did was I went to 5 different top national trainers' websites yesterday, and I looked up how to get your offers accepted on each of their websites. And so I went to Mike Ferry, I went to Brian Buffini, I went to Tom Hopkins, I went to Sean Davis, and then what was the other? Les Brown. I don't know if y'all know all of those trainers, but they're all big national trainers. And so they're basically saying the same things, y'all. Just like when we go to seminars, we hear the same things, but maybe said in a different way, or maybe we're receiving it finally,
Right.
for the first time. So there's nothing really new. There's nothing new that's going to happen under the sun that's going to say, this is the magic trick that's going to get my buyer's offer accepted or to get me a prospect client. But it's in that we take acceptance and we take action on the things that we know are working. So at any rate, this is just a second one. This one says 10 ways to get your offers accepted in a seller's market. So this is a seller's market that we're in. I'm not going to read everything, but this one, number 1, make your offer as clean as possible. We didn't hear that on the first one that I talked about. So what I wanted to say on this one was your offer should not be contingent on the sale of another property. Whenever sellers see that, they immediately go, oh, I don't want to wait for them to sell their house, and I don't know if their loan's going to work and all those things. So, if you have to sell a property in order to get a house, then good luck. Go out there and fight hard for your client. But it's less likely that they're going to accept it because of that. Maybe get that house sold, put them into a hotel, and find them a house. I don't know, but that's what I would suggest. But the other thing is, make sure what this says is that they show an instance where an agent says, I received offers, and some of the signatures are missing, the dates are missing, some of the boxes aren't checked where they're supposed to be checked for things. So it's not a complete offer. So sometimes agents will just take your offer and just throw it away and never call you to say anything because you really didn't give them an offer. You gave them an incomplete form. So make sure your offers are clean, that they're legible, people can read them. I would print versus writing on my offers except where it says signature, things of that nature. Number 2, don't ask for personal property unless they say that they're giving personal property. And then you can write that on your purchase offer as per MLS, leaving chandelier, leaving certain items in the house. But if they've got a big beautiful chandelier and everything, don't write it into the offer up front if they haven't already offered it. You can mention it to the agent that, hey, my client's really interested in that, and then they can talk to the client and see. But don't write it into the offer. Make it as clean as possible. Consider waiving the inspection. We already talked about that. Shortening the contingency period. We talked about that. Putting a stronger EMD. We talked about that. Making a larger down payment. We talked about that. This one also brought up the escalation clause. So people are doing that. It's the first time I had heard about it. And then this is another one. Make sure your offer is complete. There should be a no-brainer, but offers are received every day, missing disclosures, EMD, or pertinent information for the purchase agreement. In a competitive market, this could get your offer tossed, thrown away. Number 10, the last one says, offer 1 month free occupancy. So you can offer 1 month free or 15 days free after the close of escrow for the seller to get out. or for the seller to remove the rest of the debris from the yard or things of that nature. That does help a lot of people because at the last minute they are scrambling unless they've already purchased a new house to move to, or they're moving to a different state and they're already shipped their furniture and they're ready to go. So did you see that there's a lot of similarities here?
Yeah.
Two different big trainers talking about pretty much the same type of things. There was one little caveat up here we didn't get here. And then this is the last thing. I'm not gonna read over these because I wanna go into a discussion really quick. But these are more about writing the letters, the love letters, what these people call it. But it's the buyer's letter to the seller. But you can read through all of this. It's a bunch of good information also. And then the last thing that I have today that I brought to you was one from Mike Ferry. So Mike Ferry, I'm giving you the buyer's script about how to talk to them about the kind of house that they want and why it's important for you to know these things. Showing the property, how to show the property to them, according to Mike Ferry.
He's one of the best.
He is one of the best. And then the third page is presenting the offer, which is what we just talked about. His is short and sweet, okay? So you've gotten 4 real estate masters' ideas of how to present an offer to get them accepted. They all say very similar things, but let me say something that's gonna be a little bit of a caveat to it. None of them said this. It's also about our attitude and the way that we talk and communicate to the other agent about our offer. You know, if you pick up the phone, where's my phone? I pick up the phone and go, and Daniel answers the phone. Hi, Daniel, this is Brock with Century 21.
Who's this?
I'm Brock with Century 21. I have an offer for you for your house. I'm so sorry to bother you, but are you accepting offers today? Can I send it over today?
Yeah, send it over.
Okay, thank
I
you.
want to go look at it.
See? So, number 1, what does that say? I don't feel confident in my offer. Number 2, what does that say? I don't know how to communicate professionally and effectively. And number 3, what does it say? I'm probably not going to know how to negotiate either. Right? Okay. But if I pick up the phone and I call Daniel, and Daniel answers the phone and I go, hi, Daniel, this is Brock Ford with Century 21. How's it going today, my buddy?
Good, good.
I am so excited to talk to you because I got an offer I'm going to send over to you. And I didn't see your email on the MLS. I got a great offer. It's a 22-day close. It's all cash offer. A little bit of description. Little bit of caveats in there you need to look at. Can I send it over to you today? What's your email address?
Okay, sure.
He's going to take my offer. Does that make sense? And of course, I messed up there with a caveat, but whatever. But you got to be up. You got to be positive. And you don't even have to be up and excited. Just be professional and communicate a little bit about the offer in the phone call, and then submit it to them professionally. Okay? So that's what all of what I wanted to say. Also, it's about attitude and communication. You know, your attitude's got to be good. Be forthcoming with the other agent. Don't try to hold things back or hide anything. You know, let them know forthright exactly what's going to happen in that offer. And then, if it doesn't happen, go find another house and do your best you can with that too. Because you're not going to win every offer, even if you do your 110% best. Because you really don't know what's in the seller's head and you don't know what's in the other agent's head. The best you can do is have a clean offer with good information on it, and it's complete and submitted, and pray. You know, because you've done your job the best you can do. If you didn't do all these things, then it's your fault that the offer didn't get accepted. It's not your client's fault. That makes sense? And there's really no fault, but you know what I'm saying. You've got to do the best for your client. That's our job. Our job is to service our client to get that house, because that's the house they want. And it's our job to inform them how to make a good offer. So it may be uncomfortable for them to stretch with some extra income, some extra deposit. It may be a little uncomfortable for them to release the inspection contingency. So you have to talk to them and walk them through that, find out what their comfort level is and what it isn't, and then write that appropriately. Make sense? Great. So today, what I want to do, and the reason why we're doing everything sitting this way, is because I want some people to come up here and talk about their experiences of getting their offer accepted. And we're at about 11:30, so it's great. We've got 30 minutes to do this. I wanted to start with Daniel, and then we're going to go to Lynette and Angie and Aki. And JoJo just texted me. I just see the text. Let me see what it says. sorry, Brock, hectic day, won't make it. I have 4 appointments. I'm preparing for 2 new listings this morning. Well, hallelujah, JoJo. But at any rate, so JoJo's not gonna make it. But Daniel's here. Daniel's one of our top producers. Lynette's one of our top producers. Aki's one of our top producers. They've all been in the business a long time. Angie, that's gonna talk with us today, is not a top producer yet, but she is well on her way to being there because she's only been with us how long? 4 months, and she's working on her 2nd deal. Yes, and not only that, she's working with buyers, which is very appropriate for today. And her first buyer was Zach, and we did it, and she did it. And but it was every day asking questions, every day researching, every day coming in here and sitting here and doing the work to make her offer really, really good. And then to deal with it communication-wise after the offer is submitted with all the little nuances with the agent. So she's going to talk about that today too. So Daniel, you want to come up and share your perspective?
Everything I prepared was what Brock already went over, so.
No, that's not true. Here,
So my presentation's easy. Just smile. Smile and beg.
Smile what?
Smile and beg.
Then you're
That's
supposed
it.
to still smile and look good.
Smile and beg.
Well, he does that already.
And beg. You gotta beg. So I kind of prepared like a little bullet point, and most of what I was going to cover, you kind of covered. So I think what I'll do is just kind of talk about accepting offers and looking at offers with my client from the perspective of some of these things and just how I look at offers. And then I'll use my current listing, which we, is in escrow now, MacArthur, as kind of an example of how we went through that process. So we got in contract on MacArthur for $530,000. For those of you that don't know Oakland, it's MacArthur in 98. So it's not the best neighborhood in the world, but Oakland is
Trendy.
trendy.
Good work. Thank you, Lynette.
Oakland's a really hot neighborhood or city. A lot of the neighborhoods are really hot. We had 9 offers total. I know I just spoke to Lynette. In other areas, you're looking at 3 offers, 4 offers. So one of the things that actually stood out for me was a lot of the agents, kind of what Brock was just saying, they don't even call you and ask you what your seller needs are. So that was the first thing that I had written down, was to ask questions about what is most important to the seller. And the agents that did that stood out for me right away, because it's like, okay, they're communicating with me. They're asking me questions. They're wanting to know what we need. So before you even sit down with your client and think about writing the offer, I would say that's the first thing. And Brock kind of mentioned it. Does the seller need a rent back? Does the seller, what else did I write down here? Do appraisal issues. Actually, for our condo, we knew there could be an appraisal issue because we listed at $480,000 about 6 months before a unit sold for $475,000. So we listed it very close to where that last one sold, but the market was really hot. We knew we were going to have a lot of offers, and the offers were as high as $525,000.
Wow.
So right off the bat, we knew, okay, this may not appraise for $525,000. So agents were asking, what can we do to to kind of fix that issue? And the ones that listened, they wrote addendums. And I printed some addendums out. I'm going to share with you guys too, on how you can write an addendum so you can cover some of the difference if it doesn't appraise. So I'll pass those around. But that's the first thing. Relocating. A lot of sellers are relocating, so figuring out what they need in terms of time frame. Some people need to move fast. So getting to that close of escrow, Mar, right? I always get your name wrong. I always recommend writing below where you think the lender can close. If you think your lender can close in 30 days, write it for 25 days. If you think they can close in 25 days, write it for 21 days.
He's not afraid of
that's
risks.
I'm not afraid of being aggressive because honestly, I've never had. I've been doing this for 8 years. I've never had a listing agent kick me out of contract because we couldn't close in 21 days. Never. And they'll always say, "Yeah, we'll give you 5 days extension."
Yeah.
And the 5 days comes around, you still can't close 5 days. They'll give you a few more days extension. So don't be afraid with your close of escrow to write it really aggressive. Unless you know you have a situation where you have a weird type of loan and there's a second loan and it has to get approved by this organization.
I wouldn't do it then.
Yeah, then it's a whole different ballgame there. So just looking at things again from the perspective of the offers that I got in, being professional is just like huge. I can't tell you. I got offers where I just got an email. I got just an e-sign purchase agreement. I didn't get bank statements. I didn't get pre-approval letter. I never heard from the agent. So there was no communication. The presentation of the offer was horrible. What I would recommend, what I always do, and forgive me, I didn't print one out, but have a cover page. Always have a cover page that summarizes your offer.
Good point.
What's the close of escrow? How much is the earnest deposit? How much is the purchase price? Down payment. How large is our down payment? Sometimes when you're putting a low down payment, you don't want to talk about that
Maybe
stuff.
put that on there.
Right?
You may not want to do that. But if you have a good down payment and the terms are good, have a nice cover page. Have a nice cover page where it's easy for the listing agent to quickly go through things.
And if you don't do a cover page, just do it in an email. You can write the cover page into an email.
It's always a good idea. What else did I write here? Oh yeah, I have some examples. I'm gonna pass these around real quick. So I probably don't have enough for everybody, but
We'll share.
Here's an example of a good letter with a picture from the buyer's offer that we accepted.
Let me make a little comment really quick. Sorry. With the love letters, as I was calling those a little bit ago, Daniel puts the pictures. I've always put pictures on it also, but going through this information yesterday, I found out that it states to be very careful about putting the client's pictures on there. Check your state laws, because there may be laws in states that you can't send someone else's picture to something like this. So at any rate, I would have to look that up. I just found out about it last night, so I'll look it up for us. But it did state to be careful about that. So I've always done it. I've never had a problem.
But I just wanted to share that for all of you that got. Sorry, I probably only have about 7 copies. You can share with your neighbor, but sometimes it's a 10% chance. But sometimes those letters in the picture do have an emotional sentiment that kicks in with the seller. They go, "Oh man, look how cute this family is." That's an example of one that I received on MacArthur, and that's why I wanted to talk about MacArthur, because I literally saw everything. Because I had 9 offers, you saw 9 different things. I'll pass this one around. Here's an example of a photo I got from my clients and a letter. So basically what we did in this letter is describe why they want the house. They wanted the schools in the neighborhood. They had a relative that lived in the neighborhood. All the things that made them want to live there. The husband talked about what he does for work. He's actually a police officer. Sometimes sellers get attached to who they are professionally. Oh, this guy's a police officer too, or that'd be good for the neighborhood. A lot of owners like the people that live in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So if you can tailor that letter towards, this would be a good buy. This would be a good buyer, a good fit for this neighborhood. People really bite on it. So,
Good point.
and I'll be honest. I mean, maybe 10, 15, 20% of the time, it works. The rest of the time, the sellers are like, "Who's got the biggest offer?" But sometimes it works. So you got to do everything. You got to try everything that may work, right?
Yes.
Whatever. Next level stuff. One thing I really liked, and I got this from 2 agents, was they signed all the disclosures. Everything was signed. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. And this is something I had never done before, so I'm just sharing with you guys. But everything was signed. I mean, the HOA documents, the full disclosure packet. And again, that goes to professionalism. That's professional.
But you uploaded those documents in the MLS, right?
I did.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
so it goes to your professionalism
true.
first.
But a lot of agents
Ooh, I like
don't want
that.
to click that and pull those down first. They wait till it gets accepted to do that.
The more you can put that out there, it's so key to do that.
True.
Makes
Yeah.
it so much
The
better.
disclosures.
That's a good listing agent, yes.
A lot of agents will put them up on the MLS
Yeah,
so
additional
that you can
thought.
just click on it and pull it with the offer.
You know, I always ask even before to send them, and they've been sending me the disclosures.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then have those signed with your offer,
offer.
is what Daniel is saying.
I mean, that really showed professionalism. You're ready to go.
Yeah, when you
I'm not
see
gonna have
that,
to
you know
beg
you
you
got
to
a good
get
agent.
disclosures signed. You're ready.
Yeah.
And just to recap on that again, I've actually done the inspection thing. Not everybody has somebody that can do that, but you know, if you've got another week of the home being shown, a lot of people know contractors. If you can get a contractor in the house and they trust that contractor, and the contractor says, you know, you don't need inspections. This is good. This is good to go. So remove the inspection contingency. You know, that'll help big time with your offer. Just a little funny thing. This may sound silly, but please proofread your offer. I can't tell you. I've got 3 offers probably. People aren't paying attention to local customs. Who pays for what? Who pays the city transfer tax? Who doesn't? You know, who pays for escrow? Calling agents to say, correct this, fix that. Did you mean this? Did you mean that? You know, this is missing. You didn't check this box. That's you're already on the bottom of the pile,
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
So it may sound silly, but you would be surprised how many people do it. Just really quickly, one thing that I really think is professional, and I actually, as an agent, as a listing agent, I call every single lender. And first I call the agent, then I call the lender. I ask the listing agent, what does your buyer do for work? Sometimes people get a little offended when you're asking all these questions, but it's my job. I see it as my job. What do they do for work? You know, I don't ask them how much money they make, you know, but I'll ask the lender, you know, what's their income like? I'll ask the lender what the FICO score is, what their debt to income ratio is. A lot of agents are surprised by that. They're like, well, you're asking about DTI and all that stuff. But to me, that's important because we're going to get an escrow with you for 30 days. But I just say this to say, get familiar with your buyer. I was shocked at how many buyer's agents, they didn't know anything about their buyer. They didn't know where they worked. They couldn't even tell me where they worked. So it tells me that you don't really know that your buyer is qualified.
Exactly.
And then I call the lender, and the lender doesn't know where they work. So it tells me that it's a weak
Yeah,
pre-approved.
no
If the lender doesn't know where they
If they
work,
don't
you need
have
to
any
move on.
VOEs, how are they even potentially pre-approved, right?
Go ahead, Angie.
I do have a question. When you, like, I've been dealing with a buyer, so I kind of know, like, in general, what they do, you know, what their capacity is in putting a down payment and things like that. But I don't get involved in their funding and lending and all that.
No.
And so when you say,
I'm just asking you as the agent. The lender should know way more than you.
right,
As the
Okay.
agent, just know who your buyers are, where they work. That's
right,
it.
okay. So
Because
I've
when
been,
I call you and you don't know anything about them, that doesn't give me confidence.
okay.
You know. Now the lender, I'm going to be more specific about debt to income and FICO score. And some lenders, it's hard to get that stuff from.
Okay, I thought you were saying to talk to the people about,
No.
you know.
No.
Got it,
Just
got it.
I think people get a lot of leads from online. They don't know who their buyers are, so it just doesn't exude confidence.
And they're just writing an offer based on what they're told.
So one thing I thought that was really smart is agents that said, you know what, this may not be the highest my buyer can go. Please give me a counteroffer. That's brilliant. You know, send me a counteroffer. I want to be included in counters. So we don't think about that too. It's not over till it's over. You kind of mentioned that right now. It's not over till it's over. So just ask to be included in that counter. You may be $10,000 short of the other person, but if you ask for that counter, and then you're always constantly back on the phone. Hey, are you gonna accept our offer? Are you gonna accept our offer? You have to be pushy. You really have to be pushy. And actually, funny story. We countered the offer we accepted. They were at 505,000 originally. They came up to 530,000. They came up 25,000. I wasn't even going to consider them in a counter offer, but she begged me to. So it's just something to think about. We never think
That's
about
a really good point. I do that with most all of my offers. Is I ask, just verbally ask the agent, please include me on a counter if you're doing counters. Daniel, 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. What's my last thing? I already said beg. Please, baby, please. I'll just give you a few more things to stand out from the pack. It's something that we don't think about, and I've done this, especially if it's a local agent. Present your offer. Ask to present your offer to the listing agent in person. If you want to build rapport, Because, and I say that because I got lost. I can't even remember what agent was, what buyer they're calling me. Are you 5% down? Are you 20% down? I couldn't even remember. So you present that offer in person. You say, look, my buyer's this, they're qualified. I'll remember you. I could not remember. 9 offers, we don't think about that because we're just thinking on our end. Well,
That's what got my offer accepted.
Yeah.
I drove to Martinez. I had meeting by 6. He had multiple offers. He gave me an hour to get my offer together. I drove to Martinez and handed it to him.
There you go.
We met in person on his drive up to present it to the seller in Sassoon City. My lender was calling him, explaining the loan program.
That's awesome.
And she called it, and she had her lender call. That was one of the other things. Yeah. Have your lender call. Yeah.
And my clients hadn't seen the property, so this is a whole outside the box for me.
Great.
Writing an offer like that.
All right, last 2 things. I'm done. I did pre-inspections. One thing I thought was awesome is the agents that would send their buyers back to like the second open house. So not only was the agent building rapport with me, I kept meeting their buyers. And it started, I had that emotional attachment to the buyers. I kept seeing them, come back. I got to know the buyers. I saw that they really were motivated and wanted to place. So send your buyer back to the open house.
Never thought about that, Daniel.
No, that's a little tip.
Great input.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you very much for sharing.
Oh, I'll pass these out. I won't talk anymore.
And now,
But here's, if you guys want some tips, some quick tips on how to write addendums,
Yeah, I want that.
and how they should legally be written. This is a good tool to use. I use this when my client can't do it, but when there's 9 offers and you want to stand out, how to offer a little bit money over the appraisal. If your client can do that, that's how it should be written.
great, Daniel. Thank you very, very, very much. Y'all want to take a break really quick, go to the bathroom or anything?
No, we're good.
We're all good? So now, we're going to bring Mr. Aki up. Aki, you want to give a few words about how you maybe just take 3 minutes and talk about getting the buyers, what you've done to accept offers?
Okay.
Give them one good one.
One good one. Almost same things as you say. That's very important things. My old days to up to here, you may need always to know what the nature of this listing. So I always talk to the buyer to how much they are serious. If they are serious, then I would write offer with them. But as you said, first I through what they're so serious to make offer. I will nice letter to make to seller to convince to understand. Nice cover sheet with a nice letter. Also, I sit down with buyer to talk to them a little bit more longer. What is their nature? How soon? Right now they want to. I'm not rushing, but I want this type of house: 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, with a swimming pool or more big yard. And I'm aiming those type of house they don't want to. And then I'm older style maybe, but I always make offer. First I contact the agent, as you say. Then I will go to see the agent offer with contain cover sheet in nice way.
So do you
deliver
present the offer?
directly to the
Oh.
listing agent
Mhm.
to make sure to know who is listing agent. And I tell my offer shortly. This is serious offer. We really want to. As you say, we really want to buy how many. Oh, also offer when you make offer at least nowadays seller's market. Offer you should not write it right away. To wait until at least one day before deadline
The deadline.
to know how many offer comes. So I will ask the offer how many offers. Normally they will tell you honest. So if there's 5, or now the market wise and the your comp shows 6 months, now there's maybe not need 1 year, maybe 6 months to review nature same similar of the house. Then I will explain to my buyer to write the offer, then I will deliver to by my hand to deliver to the agent office. Then I will tell agent this buyer is house sales, they are 50% down, they really want to buy this. And I encourage the seller and listing agent to make sure to understand how our offer is serious. And then, if possible, please give me contact. My buyer is best to buy this house. Also, I encourage the listing agent. You have a good listing. My buyer really like your listing, and we want to make this offer is the best. If there's not enough this, they are willing to bring up as much as possible. So please give me contact.
Very good.
We want to buy. We want to win.
We want to
Only
win.
one house.
We want to
But
win.
7, 8 offers. So yeah, that's what I usually work. Okay.
Thank you, Aki, very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. And then Lynette is gonna come up. Lynette's been a top agent for many years.
Excuse me.
Now Lynette, now you know you talk a lot.
I do.
So
My
I'm gonna
nickname
watch,
is-
I'm gonna watch my
My
clock.
nickname is Gabby Ann.
So wait a minute, I'm giving you 4 minutes.
It's real quick. I'm just gonna give you 2 tools to be successful because you said there was a lot of,
There you
new agents that needed
Uh-huh.
to learn. So my 2 top tools are Old Republic Title, a property
Yeah.
profile report, and RPR. So my
Tell them
recent.
what those are.
Okay, so the property profile report that you get from Old Republic Title gives you a lot of data and information. So I pulled one on this particular for sale by owner that my client wanted to see. He referenced 5 bedrooms. I went and previewed it for my clients, and I took him back and showed it, met with the seller. He was surprised when I knew what street he lived on, because I had already pulled a profile and done my research. 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. He admitted to me that he had done the remodel of the 5th bedroom without permits. So I already knew that information before I took my clients over there to look at the property. So when you pull a profile, it gives you the data. If I just want to pass that around. So it gives you inside information.
The statistics about the property.
And then the next one is the RPR, and I just did a commercial one on the office. It gives you good data. It gives you real property realtor source, and you can access this through this Contra Costa Association of Realtors through your MLS. You see the icon, sign up for it because you can customize the information to go out to give to your clients with your information on it. So I just did this one on this property. So that's what I use to verify data and get information. The other thing that I use is I take this with me. I'm new to Solano County, so I laminated this so I can be up to date in the area that I'm working in. And this is a guide to closing costs that you get on the Old Republic Title website. My phone actually has the icon with everything. Net sheets, have you guys seen that?
Mhm.
Let me
The
grab my,
newer people haven't seen the net sheet.
okay, let me grab my,
The net sheet that she's talking about is what the title company produces for buyer and seller that shows all the costs involved, where the money's going from whom to whom and where it's happening. How much the buyer has to bring to closing, what's going to the seller, what's not going to the seller, how much agents are getting paid.
okay, so this is my app from Old Republic Title. you can go in and download, I can make copies of this. This is Carrie's phone number to come in. You can use any title company. They work with me, but you can do everything right here from your app. You can also pull a property profile. So if you're out in the field and you're looking at something and you want more information, you can actually access it right on your phone, which is valuable. So that's one of the things that I use. And I wanted to tell you just a little bit about how I got this buyer that I actually wrote an offer for Friday. I'm going over 4 minutes. I did an open house in Vallejo, and my lender went with me. We had maybe 5 or 6 couples through. That was it. But of those 5 or 6 couples, he built rapport with one family, stayed in touch with them, and they got pre-approved with him. And I've been out showing them property for about 2 weeks. Friday night, they were leaving for LA. They found a property. There was a square footage discrepancy on the property. In the MLS, it showed larger square footage. So it's smaller square footage than what the tax records show. So I called my lender and said, is this gonna be an appraisal problem? Because it's back on the market. And he said, yes, it needs to be corrected with the tax records before we'll loan on it. So if the builders originally mapped it as more square footage and it's smaller and they've been paying taxes on the higher amount, it needs to be straightened around. So I learned something new. That's what I love about this business. I said to my buyer, oh, it's gonna take quite a while to get that straightened around. Listing agent called me back at Friday and he said, I sent the previous appraisal over to the county. They're gonna sign off on it. We should have it uploaded in auto-populated by Tuesday. My clients had already gone out of town. He was doing open houses, Saturday and Sunday. Monday, I called him and I said, how did you get in there? He goes, I got 3 offers. And he goes, are your clients interested? Meanwhile, I had spoken to his seller because it was by appointment only, no lock boxes. So she knew I had clients interested. So we wrote the offer. My clients had not looked at the property. I've never done this. This is thinking outside the box. I've never written an offer on a property I've never personally shown. But I knew what my buyers were looking for, and I knew that they were very, very picky because I'd already shown them about 6 homes in Vallejo already. So I wrote it with blind faith, had all my contingencies in place, delivered the offer in person to the listing agent in Martinez, and he called me back and said, your offer's accepted. We went up last night, my clients walked the property, I did my AVID, we're all done.
And they liked it.
They loved it. They loved it.
She
Because it
took
was,
a huge risk, but did you hear what she said though? She interviewed her clients, she knew what they were wanting, she'd already been working with them. She had the belief that she was doing the right thing to get that for her clients. So that took guts. That was good.
and I'd never done that. But you know what? Like I said, we learned something new, and this is what I had to do for these particular clients. And everybody loved it. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage, and it's totally upgraded. And I walked it with my AVID and I didn't have anything to note, which is unusual. Usually you're marking, crack in the ceiling and stuff like that. So it was meant to be. So I guess what I'm saying in a nutshell is do your research, listen to your clients, and be prepared. And as much information as you can have up front, because even if my clients had not bought this property, I helped the other listing agent overcome an obstacle because that square footage would have been an issue for anybody else in the future. It needed to be corrected, and he appreciated that.
That's big, yeah.
Yeah, so that's about it.
Building rapport, huh?
Yeah, that's called building rapport. So that's what I do. I say take a lender with you to your open houses. You never know who's gonna come in there. And he built rapport with them, and so I built rapport with them, and I let him have them approach me, and he said, they're ready to go. She's gonna call you. And I said, okay, and boom, phone call came, and we went out and started looking at property, so I was pretty happy with the results.
Thank you, Lynette, everybody.
So, on that sheet.
Y'all, this is very important, what she talked about, the title company and doing net sheets and property profiles. Please, if you don't have that set up on your computer, call one of the title companies, the sales reps, and get that set up for yourself. You really, really need that. I looked up property profile for everything. Carrie is at Old Republic title and Mary Ann is North American title.
Yeah.
Their cards are up here. Please
It's
do
so
that.
helpful to have because it's information at your fingertips.
And then the last person that we're gonna have come up for a few minutes is not a top producer yet, but is about to be. But the reason why I want her to come up is from a new agent perspective of working with 2 buyers already in her first 4 months of being here. Brand new to real estate, and brand new to working with clients in the real estate business. So she's on her second deal, and I want her to just talk a little bit about her experience and what she learned and what she knows that she has to do to get the job done that she did to get the job done, because she had a very difficult transaction. She had a very aggressive and difficult co-op agent that she was working with on the other side. But she used perseverance and she used tenacity, and she was here getting the job done, and she got it done. So I'm gonna bring Angie up, if you would come and share your experience with Zach and the one that you're doing now. Everybody, this is Angie Facade.
In general, I have a very calm personality, and it's based on the experience I've had in working in the corporate world. I do listen to people a lot. I don't cut them off when they're telling me something. So far, the 2 transactions that I'm involved in, the first one, I had a very seasoned agent that I was working with, and there was always these demands, these needs, and all this, but I stayed calm. I never lost my cool. And I think based on that, she was able to give in things that I was asking professionally. Toward the end, yes, due to the delay, we had to pay some fees, but my buyer at the end of the day was very satisfied that we were able to put him in the home he is today. Again, keeping the professionalism, this next deal that I'm working with, like I told Brock, that was a $600,000 deal. I'm working on a $1 million deal. And again, I did not know the setup of the agency, the way the broker and the selling agent was that I was working with, until just a day ago when I asked her to up my commission. Anyway, so this was very difficult as well. I wrote an offer, I sent it, came back with like $300,000 more, and I'm like, this is not gonna happen. And again, knowing what your buyer needs, you have to know what they need and what they're capable of. I had asked them like what was their price range, because we had gone to so many open houses and stuff, and they were doing some on their own. They created a spreadsheet, and it's like listed the properties and gave a rating. So like, would it be worth for me to write an offer on a property that they wrote as 65% that they will be willing to give an offer on? So using their spreadsheet, they would always send it to me when a new home property got on the list. So with a lot of my patients, I said, okay, so how would you rate this? And we lost one in Richmond, and that property somebody paid $200,000 over. Then we started looking in the Oakland area, the most popular area these days. So right now, I'm waiting on the signed contract from them with the money that the seller wants. I did not know that the guy selling was a broker or is a broker who flips properties. And then I was asking the listing agent, I said, you know what? I am working so hard, I want my commission 3 and 3. And she said, Angie, I wish I could give it to you. This is somebody that I work with. I just do like the admin type of work, and I'm only getting a percent, so I was happy. But again, the tenacity has to be there. If you are working with a buyer, you as the agent, and I think these people are more seasoned than I am, you have to really be tenacious and know your information. Because you don't want to present something to your buyer that later on they know, like, what was she talking about? So everything that Daniel and Lynette have said, I agree with some of the things that I've gone through. I totally agree with all that. So, again, being patient, perseverance, and delivering to your buyer's needs or the seller's needs makes you successful.
Thank you, Angie. Very proud of you.
How much was the commission?
Yeah, and
2.5.
so ethics, we can't do that.
No,
We can't do that. I can't call you up and ask you to pay me more money. From the
People-
Realtors Code of
agents
Ethics.
are doing this a lot.
Yeah, and it's against our code of ethics.
It is.
Yes.
I was just talking to her, I'm saying, Katya, I said, this is like,
I
I'm just
know,
working
and
so
I-
hard.
But we're not supposed to be able to do that at all. For code of ethics.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to do that. I have had agents call me and ask me for that. There are times when you do a 4% listing, and remember, when you get a 4% listing, you have to always ask your manager, and I actually have to approve that to go down to 4, anything less than 5%. So, but if we do get a 4% listing, sometimes we may be double ending it, and so we'll go down to 4% to help out, and that's perfectly fine to do. Just make sure you get approval for that. But at any rate, when you do get a 4% listing, and you put 2% on the MLS for the other agent, then they're usually going to call you and ask you for 2.5. And then you tell people, I'm sorry, but this is a 4% listing and it's equal split.
Right.
So at any rate, but we'll talk about that outside of this meeting. But do remember, it is unethical to call and ask for more commission. So we can talk about that in another meeting as well. But thank you. But the good thing about Lynette, that I like having Lynette here for, she knows all the rules and she keeps us all in time. So
You know what?
it's
I
good to
think,
have
I
these
think
people
the
here.
Because she was a
difference,
broker, right?
I think the difference is I've been called in on the carpet probably for, quite a few things that have happened with agents and managing 250 agents. You kind of know the ethics and you kind of know the rules, because California is not the same, but Nevada, there are people pointing fingers because, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that with that many agents. So, and I don't agree with the rule personally. Okay, I don't agree with the code myself. Because I know there's times I've worked extremely hard, and I know that agent got paid more money than me, and I don't think that that's fair. But the code of ethics says we're not allowed to do this.
And when you
So-
see something on the MLS and they've stated what it is,
Yeah.
Let me just share this with you too. If it says 2% on the MLS, still take your client to see that house. We are not greedy agents here. We are agents in service of helping our clients ascertain to sell or buy their house. That's our job. Our job is to make money as well, but we're going to make money on the sale, and the money that we make is good money on most of these sales. So it's not, it's not working at McDonald's or anything like that. So we make good money. But at any point, I'm about to lose my thought. What was I saying on that?
The amount of commission, the 2%. Yeah.
I forget. With the
That we
1%.
should still show property no matter
Oh,
what.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
not- yeah.
I have agents that in this office that have come to me and said that they don't want to show a house because it's only 2% commission, but it's a good house for their client. That is wrong, guys. Don't ever do that. 2% is maybe it's not as good as 2.5%, but it's still a good amount of money for the houses that are out here. An average house in this neighborhood is around $600,000 now. Is the median price in this area. That's good money. On a $500,000 commission with 2.5%, if you're on an 8% split with Orhan, you make $10,000. So it's a $12,500 commission. On an 80% split, it's $10,000 in your pocket. $10,000 is worth going that extra step. $10,000 is worth being professional and doing the things that we talked about today. But don't ever not take your client to a house just because they're offering 2% commission. If that's the right house, take them to see that house. You get that sold for them. With that said, I want to give away a book today. This is my favorite coach in the whole world for real estate. I have lots of coaches, but this one is for real estate. Brian Buffini. I really resonate with him. He was the first coach that I had, the first seminar I ever went to in San Diego back in 2004. But at any rate, this one is a recent book of his. He's an immigrant from Ireland, and he came here and started this real estate company, and now he's actually bigger than Mike Ferry.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
He's number one for Remax.
yeah.
Personally.
So at any rate, this book is about his life and about being the immigrant and how an immigrant has an edge. And so instead of him thinking that him being an immigrant cost him, what's the other word than having an edge, is he wasn't quite good enough, he wasn't quite there. He saw it as a positive, and that it gave him an edge to do better. So at any rate, so I'm going to hand it to the first person that tells me, as soon as I say go, one of the steps, don't look at your sheets, that we talked about today. What's one of the tips that they said to get an offer accepted?
Build rapport.
I didn't say go yet.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, go. Y'all are not playing with me here. All right, so what again? 1, 2, 3, go.
Write a clear offer.
I'm giving it to Angie. Will you read it, Angie?
Yes.
You better read it.
And I can pass it
And then we
around.
can pass it around.
Yeah.
Exactly. And y'all, just so you know, I have a lot of books in my office. You're welcome to come check them out. Just bring them back.
I'm an immigrant citizen, so maybe
Okay.
there will be some.
So was today helpful about getting your buyer's offers accepted?
Yeah.
Did you get one thing that you can walk out of here with that maybe you didn't know already? I did,
Yeah, I did.
and I hope that you did too. And then thank you to the people that stood up and shared your stories with us. I think that was very helpful also. Thank you for that. Give them a round of applause. And then let's all get up on our feet if we're able, and let's do some affirmations out of here, all right? So I'll say it, and then you can repeat after me. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy.
I'm alive, excited, and full of energy.
I get my buyer's offers accepted every time.
I get my buyer's offers accepted every time.
Because I am the utmost professional.
Because I am the utmost professional.
And that makes me prosperous, prosperous, prosperous.
And that makes me prosperous, prosperous, prosperous.
Yay! Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Let me, Angie, can you move just a little bit?
I have a new job to do.
Yes.
Okay.
I need to.
Okay.
Now, this one's on.